Welcome to True Higher Self. This is Kelly. We are finishing up the 7 spiritual laws of success. We're in chapter 7. And the 7th spiritual law of success is the law of Dharma. Guys, if you've not done so, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot of good information on the channel in terms of understanding and being your higher self. Go ahead and subscribe. And also below, we have a free giveaway in the discussion where we talk about the importance of a daily meditation practice, which really is the core and the essence of spiritual growth, as well as a physical practice, yoga, the importance of also keeping, the body-mind connected. So please go ahead and do that. And we're just going to go ahead and jump into the discussion today. Thanks for joining us. So the value of this discussion today is we're going to determine what is it that we're passionate about. How do we surmise what our passion for life is, and how do we live in it to maximize our efforts while we are here having this physical experience. So let's begin. The law of Dharma, the 7th spiritual law. Dharma is a Sanskrit word that means purpose for life. So again, we're going to talk about our passion for life, what it is that we do every day. We're going to ask ourselves different questions about how can we bring our passion and the things that we love to do to assist humanity and make our world a better place. Again, Dharma is a Sanskrit word and it means purpose in life. And the law of Dharma says that we have taken manifestation into physical forms to fulfill a purpose. So we're all here for a reason. The field of pure potentiality, you heard us talk about that before, is divinity in its essence. And the divine takes human form to fulfill a purpose. So let me see if I can explain that in a little bit more layman's terms to get a more vivid picture. If you consider that all things that are, were, and will be are made from one substance. This is the pure potentiality that Deepak is talking about. Everything that is, the Bible says it this way, all things are made by him and through him and are him. So the essence of everything really is eternity, is immortality, is God itself. So everything has its root and its being in him. So our divine purpose will come out of this pure potentiality, out of this fertile soil of pure potentiality. And according to this law, you have a unique talent and a unique way of expressing it. We all do. There's something that you can do that is going to be done better than anyone else in the whole world. Now, expressing your talents to fulfill needs creates unlimited wealth and abundance. So this thing that you do that's better than anyone else, the thing that you do so passionately that you do it, even if people were not paying you or paying attention to you, even if no one knew you were doing it. What Deepak is saying here, when you find that passion, that talent, you're going to express it in a way that's going to fulfill the needs of humanity, and it's going to create for you wealth and abundance. Now, if we, for example, would start teaching this to our children, we would have a very different type of individual, different type of person on the planet. If we begin to teach them this, Deepak says here that he did teach this to his kids in terms of don't focus on grades, don't focus on making a living, don't do any of that. Just your single solitary responsibility is to figure out what is your Dharma, what is your purpose and passion for life. Now, when we focus on this and asking ourselves, how can we serve humanity? And asking yourself, what is your unique talent? These were the sole purposes. There are 3 components to the law of Dharma. 3 components. The first is each of us is here to discover our true self. Well, that should sound familiar because, of course, our channel, this is what we talk about, discovering and being your true higher self. But what does that really mean? We've given, definition before. I'll do it again. This is to find out on our own that, one, we are spiritual. We are a spiritual being having a physical experience. And essentially, we are here, we've manifested into these physical forms as spirit for a purpose. And becoming your higher self speaks more to the idea that you understand on a higher level that you have access to all things, that you are part of all things. Again, everything that was made by him and through him is him, and that includes you. Each of us is here to discover our higher self or our spiritual self. That is the first fulfillment in the law of Dharma. The first. And we've got to find out for ourselves that inside of us is a god or goddess, an embryo that wants to be born so that we can express our divinity. How do we express our divinity? We express it through that passion, through that gift for others. The second component of the law of Dharma is to express our unique talents. Our unique talent. Each of us has a talent that is unique in its expression. So unique that there's no one else alive on the planet that has that talent or that can express it in the way that you can. This means that there's one thing that you can do, that one way of doing it, that is better than anyone else on the entire planet, and everyone has it. The expression of that talent makes you into timeless awareness. In other words, when you are doing this thing that you love, let's say, for example, that you are a video content creator and you love to work with pictures, and you take pictures or record video, and you find yourself doing it all the time. You've always been drawn to gadgets, whether it was 30 millimeter type cameras back in the day, or now, you've got your favorite DSLR, or you have your iPhone, or you have, whatever you have that you like to work with. And you are always interested in finding better quality video. You're shooting video of everything you can find, and you can edit and post-produce like nobody's business. And you take the simplest of shots and you can create a film, a small film, that people will be intrigued by, coupled with, music and effects and things like that. And that is just something that you do. You just do it. I mean, you have a regular job and you've got kids or a wife or a husband or whatever the case may be, but this is just your thing. This is what you love to do. And this is what timeless awareness that Deepak is talking about here. Sometimes you find yourself, just working and or producing video, and you forget what time it is, or the fact that you're not eating. So, timeless awareness. That's the second part. Now, the third component of the law of Dharma is service to humanity, which is probably the piece that puts the bow on the present. There is what ties everything together. You're here to serve your fellow human beings, and you should be asking yourself these questions: how can I help? How can I serve? How can I help all those that come into contact with me? Now, when you combine the ability to express your unique talent, number one, with your desire to serve humanity, number two, then you make full use of the law of Dharma, your purpose in life. Our purpose is not always for us. Very seldom is it for us. It's always for humanity. Why? Because the other is also us. And it's like this cycle where the more you give, the more you get. You get these awesome feelings of helping people who are in need, who appreciate and love your talent or whatever it is that you're able to give to them. And in turn, the universe will supply you with resources and circumstances and events to be able to do more of that thing that you love. So in essence, what you're doing for others, you're doing for yourself. Now, first of all, meditation is the most useful way of entering the domain of the spirit. But if you simply shift your internal dialogue to ask the question every day, how can I help? Ask the universe every day, how can I help? This will also help you access the spirit, the domain of your awareness, where your experience, your universality, your connectivity to the universe. And I think what he's trying to say here is to drive home this law of Dharma and the fact that we are spiritual beings in these physical bodies. We've manifested these physical bodies to have an experience here. And while we're here, we need to figure out what it is, why are we here? I assure you, you're not here to, get a degree and get a career and a goal watching these sorts of things that we've kind of cookie cut and put out there. And, from an environmental standpoint and from a social standpoint, we kind of urge people to do. And most people do that. And in the interim, they're unhappy. Why? Because that's really not what they're here to do. You're not here to drive fancy cars and live in big houses, although there's nothing wrong with that. Many people drive nice cars and live in big houses. That's not a problem. But the problem is when you are unhappy in the car or the house or in the relationship or in that particular vice presidentship that you really, deep down inside, you really don't want. So figuring out why we are here and what our purpose is, that's when we're going to get the most out of life, to really know that we are living in our purpose. Now, if you want to make the maximum of the law of Dharma, we're going to have some commitments here. I'm going to go through 3 and talk about how to do that. And the first commitment is this. I'm going to seek my higher self, which is beyond my ego, through spiritual practice. So if you're listening to this podcast or this video on YouTube, then you're already taking that step. You're seeking out information, consciousness, spiritual information on a higher level, because you've identified the fact that 1, I need to feed my spirit, but 2, I'm looking to find out who I am. Particularly if you come to this channel because we're talking about our higher selves, which is an indication that you understand that you can exist on a higher level, higher plane. So the first commitment is I'm going to seek my higher self. So continue to come back to our channel. We're going to always provide you with more and more information on who and what your higher self is and ways to promote deeper connectivity to your higher self, ways to live in your higher self. That's what we talk about here all the time. Now, the second commitment is this. I'm going to discover my unique talents, and I'm going to find my unique talents. And I'm going to enjoy myself, because the process of enjoyment occurs when I go into, again, timeless awareness. This is when you're doing that thing that you love so much, you forget about time. Others call it a state of bliss. So that's number 2. I'm going to find my unique talents. And in addition to this, I would just say one of the ways to do that is during your meditation periods, just ask the question, set the intention before you go into meditation of hearing from your source, from your higher self, about the areas that you most are passionate about, that would be the best for you. And then just quietly sit in meditation, and you'll get the response that you're looking for. Third and last, the third commitment is I'm going to ask myself, how am I best suited to serve humanity? What a great question. I'm going to answer that question and put it into practice. Listen, knowledge does not apply itself to find out what your passion is and never really use it or apply it or give it to humanity. That really is like not knowing. So once you find out what your talent is, and then you begin to figure out how to use it, ask the question, how can I give what I have to humanity, to help humanity? And you'll say to yourself, I'll match these needs to my desire to help and serve others. So what you want to do as we close out, sit down and make a list of 2 questions, the answers to these 2 questions. The first is, if I had all the money in the world and I had no concern or no need for a job or career, what is it that I would do? What would I be doing? Like, what is the thing would I be doing? So that's number 1. And if you still do what you currently do, that means that you are in Dharma. You're living in your purpose because you have passion for what you do. But a lot of us don't. A lot of us don't. And I was one of those people for years that went to a nice office job and, covered parking decks and fancy this and fancy that. And, I didn't like it. It wasn't my passion. So ask yourself, what would I be doing if I didn't have to work, if I had all the money in the world? And then secondly, how am I best suited to serve humanity? How do I take that thing that I really love to do, and how do I serve humanity? If you continue to ask this question, your internal conversation, you will get a response. So don't be discouraged if it doesn't come right away. Continue during your silent time to set the intention to find the answers to these questions, because it's going to put you on the path, and circumstances, events, and people, as the universe does, will come into your arena, into your spectrum, so that you can begin to harness your talents and understand how to provide them to humanity for the best of humanity. Now, when your creative expression meets and matches the needs of your fellow humans, then wealth will spontaneously flow. Wealth will spontaneously flow from the unmanifested into the manifested, from the realm of the spirit to the world of form. You'll begin to experience your life as a miraculous expression of divinity, not just occasionally, but all of the time. And you'll know true joy and the true meaning of success, the ecstasy and the exhalation of your own spirit. Basically, you will be your higher self. So today, I'm going to apply the law of karma. I'm going to put the law of Dharma. I'm going to put the law of Dharma into effect by making a commitment to do the following, just to kind of reiterate our steps. Number one, today, I will lovingly nurture the god or goddess in embryo that lies deep within my soul. That's number one. I'll pay attention to the spirit within me that animates both my body and my mind. We do realize that's what's animating our body, and without it, it would not be animated. I'll awaken myself to the deep stillness within my heart. I'll carry consciousness of timeless, eternal being in the midst of time-bound experience. So while I'm going about my day-to-day activities, whether it's work or play, I will realize that within me is a god or goddess in embryo form that is waiting to express itself ultimately in its Dharma. Number two, I'll make a list of my unique talents. We talked about that already. Then I will list all the things that I love to do while expressing my unique talents. When I express my unique talents and use them in a service to humanity, I lose track of time and I create abundance in my life. That's called living in bliss. You're creating abundance and you don't even have any sense of time, because what you're doing is so awesome and you're so into it, you're not even aware of time passing. That's bliss. And lastly, I'll ask myself daily, how can I serve? How can I help? And I expect the answers to these questions to come to me. And I expect that I'll be able to serve my fellow human beings as a result. Guys, I really appreciate you hanging out with me through Deepak's 7 Laws of Spiritual Success. I will put a link to the book if you'd like to have it, to purchase it online, where you'll be able to do that. I read this book probably once or twice a year. It's really good to go back and to remind yourself, from a foundational standpoint, of the things that you believe. And then secondly, I'll ask you guys, if you've not done so already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. What we have below is a giveaway for a free e-download. All you have to do is put your email in, and in your inbox it comes. Continue to come back to the channel. We've got information, like I said, during our discussion, that always supports your better understanding of who you are from a true higher self standpoint. And we've got another series coming up. So thanks, and we will talk soon.